special has the season been for you guys? And you potentially playoff spot for the 10th straight season, but how exciting is that for you guys, and how special has this been for you guys?
Yeah, it's a balance. I mean, you gotta just enjoy every day and understand, the success that we're having isn't natural. It doesn't always happen in the NBA. You don't have years like that, so grateful for that, and don't take that for granted. But really, just kind of focus on the daily approach towards that. And at the end of the day, whether you win or lose, you got to come in the next day and get your work done. So, guys have done a great job of doing that, and just got to keep that up.
When you talk about your daily approach, how important is it for you guys to clinch the top seed? Is that something that you're thinking about, or not really?
I mean, at this point in the season, the best way to think about that is to just continue to do what we've been doing and allow the chips to fall where they may. And so, if we continue the same approach, we'll achieve those results. And I think that's the best way to handle that at this point.
Joe, talk about Xavier kind of taking the pressure off of him defensively out there. How have you seen that kind of chemistry between them develop, and how does he do that?
Yeah, so our bigs versatility is one of the most important things for our defensive system, and I think Al has led the charge on that. And, Luke has really grown in that versatility, and so the ability for bigs to play alongside each other and execute different coverages and guard different matchups, super important. And so, and that was the process of when we got X, of kind of being patient and taking time, initiating him into the system, is so that it's seamless when it does happen. And so his ability to play alongside Al and play alongside Luke, he played, in the Utah game, is really just comes down to his ability to handle different matchups defensively, handle those coverages, communicate, and like you said, take pressure off the other big, but also show the versatility to make sure our defense kind of stays where it is.
How has that integration gone? Like, did you wait to make sure that he knew some of the language before you got him in there? And how's that kind of worked out?
That's exactly what we did. Just been very patient, waited for him to understand the language, understand the dynamics of it. Obviously the staff doing a great job getting on the floor with him and walking him through all of the rules and areas. Just him hearing, the few first shoot-arounds or the film sessions and getting a clear understanding of what expectations are. And then just the understanding of every possession changes. So having the open-mindedness and the readiness to be able to, pick up on that. So between the staff and him being on the court doing a great job of that, it's kind of helped him get to where he is.
Talked a little bit about those Jaylen, Jason rotations. A lot of time Jason comes out early in the first. A couple of times over the last couple of weeks you've gone to Jaylen in that spot. How do you kind of look at that? And in terms of, I think you've talked a little bit about the hot hand and who's got it going in that spot. How have you kind of balanced those two and their rotations, and how do you look at that going into the playoffs?
It's just both of them. We're having constantly free-flowing conversation throughout the game. Credit to them, just kind of trusting the staff on a decision that is made at the time, but there's a few things that go into it. Obviously, if one of them's playing really well, you want to keep that. Last night we changed the sub-pattern so that we could keep the matchups that we wanted later in the half, later in the quarter. And so it's just a constant free-flowing thing that, at first is the best interest of them, and then the next best thing is how could we make sure we're taking advantage of matchups, having the right lineup. So just a free-flowing conversation, and the guys have done a good job of communicating that.
And the dynamic between, obviously, you're not predetermining shot totals and stuff like that, but Jaylen's had more shots per game, since the All-Star break here. He's been a little bit more of a focal point for you guys. Jaylen over Jason. Has that kind of, just been the matchups since the break? What's kind of led to Jaylen being a little bit more of a focal point in the offense?
I just think they're two different players, and so I don't think the goal was never for Tatum to get the most shots in a game. The goal was to play efficient basketball and win the game, and so the two of them are understanding how they can have impacts on the game differently. And Jaylen's impact comes in transition with his speed and his physicality and his ability to create defense to offense with his on-ball defense and pressure. And so a lot of those shots are really in transition. Because of just his ability to run, and Tatum's come into half court where he likes to play chess and take advantage of pick and roll matchups, whether handling or screening. And so the amount doesn't really matter much. What matters is the process of getting them. And I think since the All-Star break and really throughout the second half of the season, they've both been really fighting to get the best shot possible for them and their teammates through what the game is giving them, and that's really what it comes down to.
Do you think about defensive units, 5 guys who were chemistry-wise play the best defense as a unit?
Everything's just matchup oriented. So yesterday in the first half, Luke and X played one matchup, and then in the second half we switched and it went X then Luke. And so it really just comes down to, I think we have great synergy and connectivity between all the guys. The most important thing is having the right lineups versus the right coverages versus the right matchups for the other team, and knowing that could change at any time. And so in the first half, it was Luke then X. The second half it went X then Luke, and the guys did a great job. And so as long they've done a great job keeping their open-mindedness towards what makes the most sense to win the segment of the game, but also win the game. And so we have to keep that open-mindedness approach to execution and doing whatever's necessary in the moment to win.
When you get a couple games, days off in between games this late in the season, how do you try to go about capitalizing on that downtime, and how fresh do you feel like they'll come back Sunday?
I have no idea if we'll come back Sunday. I'll let you know on Sunday. But I think it's just given exactly what the team needs. And so at this point, the team, as far as the month left, a lot of back-to-backs, rest, but at the same time, we got to clean up details. And so today was more of a film day, walkthrough day, and then a travel day tomorrow. So it's really just making sure, just doing whatever the team needs at that particular moment, making sure we're taking advantage of the time that we have with something, film, walkthrough, individual meetings, whatever it may be.
Do you kind of start resting players now that you guys have locked up a playoff spot?
We'll do whatever we got to do to win the game.
How's Kristaps doing?
He's doing well. He's on the court today. He got work done, continuing to get better and better, day to day.
What is the balance with only 16 games left, but a 10-game lead in the Eastern Conference between deciding when to rest players and when to?
I think it just comes down to what's in the best interest of the player, what's in the best interest of the game, and what that looks like. So luckily we have a whole science department that specializes in that, and they have the best interest of the player, and we work together on what that looks like. But regardless of who's in, who's out, I think what you've seen is we've played a certain level of basketball, and that's the most important thing. You create an environment in the locker room of where guys are out, but you can maintain your level of physicality and your identity on both sides of the ball. That's the most important thing.
Coach, knowing you're from the area, knowing what the banners and the lineage means, how special is it when Paul Pierce is around the team, whether it's on game night or coming to practice, and just connect the eras for us?
That started last year, this past season, inviting all the guys down, and he kind of normalized his presence by being here for training camp, being in coaches' meetings, being at practice. And I felt like that was a big step, to kind of tie the past and the present together and make them more, humanizing instead of through the banners and through pictures. And so having those guys back is great, and that's the goal, is how to build a connection between the past and the present through relationships. And so it's always special to have those guys around.
Mentioned some of the double big lineups, X and Al. We've seen Luke and X. Really every combination of those guys. How important is it to have that, layer to your team, and what are you kind of seeing from those groups on
I throw O'Shea in there as well, because you have O'Shea Luke minutes, you had O'Shea and Al minutes at the beginning of the year, and the most important thing is maintaining our defensive versatility and maintaining our offensive spacing depending upon what the lineups are, and making sure that we take advantage of those.